Good morning, everyone. My name is Nachifa Aminuddin. Together with my partner, we are discussing about the visual reasoning test. So, in psychology assessment, a visual reasoning test is a type of cognitive assessment that measures a person's ability to analyze and interpret visual information. So, any visual reasoning test is tinitest ang kakayahan ng isang tao kung gaano siya mag-analyze or gaano siya kabilis mag-interpret ng information and also problem solving and decision making. So, visual reasoning is all about solving logical reasoning questions by representing the given questions in graphical form to understand and to get the right answers. Some of the important chapters under visual reasoning are pattern recognition, which is identifying patterns, sequence, and relationships within visual stimuli. Spatial reasoning, it is understanding and manipulating spatial relationships between objects. Abstract thinking, it is interpreting abstract visual concepts and applying logical reasoning to them. So this test typically use nonverbal stimuli such as diagrams, matrices, and shapes, eliminating the influence of language comprehension. The results help assess a person's problem-solving skills, visual spatial abilities, and overall cognitive functioning. Help assess intelligence in individuals with language difficulties. So, assessing intelligence in individuals with language difficulties, visual reasoning tests provide a valuable alternative for evaluating cognitive abilities in people who have challenges with verbal or language-based assessments. The nonverbal nature of this test allows for more accurate assessment of their intelligence. So this kind of test is china-challenge ang kakayahan ng isang tao para sa mga nahihirapan magsalita. So, used in neuropsychological evaluations. So, these tests are frequently incorporated into neuropsychological evaluations to assess cognitive functioning after brain injury, stroke, or other neurological conditions. The result can help identify specific cognitive deficits. So, this test is para sa mga taong may brain injury, stroke, or other neurological conditions. So, detecting cognitive impairments and problem-solving abilities. Visual reasoning tests help identify cognitive weaknesses including problems with abstract thinking, spatial reasoning, and problem-solving skills. So these tests can help detect cognitive impairments that might not be apparent through other assessment methods. Robbins Progressive Matrices. This is a well-known nonverbal intelligence test that measures a person's ability to identify patterns and solve problems by analyzing visual designs. It is often considered a good indicator of fluid intelligence and general cognitive ability, where individuals need to select the missing piece to complete a pattern within a matrix. It is considered culturally fair as it does not rely on language skills. So, the Black Design Test or Wechsler skills, part of the Wechsler's intelligence skills. This test measures visual spatial reasoning and problem-solving skills. The Embedded Figure Test. This test assesses the ability to identify a simple figure within a more complex design. This measures perceptual organization and visual attention. Figures completion test. So this test assesses the ability to recognize and complete the incomplete figures. It measures visual perception and reasoning. A trained psychologist presents a series of visual problems or patterns to person being tested, which is yung examinee. So the examinee select or construct the missing piece to complete the pattern. Through this process, the examinee directly assesses visual spatial reasoning and problem-solving skills without relying on verbal instructions or responses. The participant is shown a series of visual patterns with a missing part. Magpapakita ang psychologist ng mga visual pattern para sa mga examinee with a missing piece. Kailangan nila hanapin yung tamang sagot or kailangan nila mahanap yung kulang doon sa binigay na problem solving. So, habang nakukuha ng mga examinee yung test or yung visual pattern na yun, is nag-e-increase or humihirap yung test. The examinee is given a set of colored blocks and must arrange them to replicate a displayed pattern. This test measures both visual spatial reasoning or the ability to mentally manipulate visual information, and motor coordination, the ability to accurately manipulate the blocks. The ability to accurately reproduce the pattern demonstrates both cognitive and fine motor skills. The scores are determined by the number of correct responses and the time takes to complete the test. Speed and accuracy both contribute to the final score. Some tests convert raw scores, the number of correct answers, into standard scores to allow for easier comparison across different test versions and populations. Standard scores typically follow a normal distribution. So, the final scores are often translated into percentile ranks, showing the percentile of individuals who scored below a given score, and sometimes IQ estimations. This provides a standardized way to interpret the results relative to a broader population.
Hi, I am Jomaira Usman and I will discuss the continuation of the report. So in Raven's progressive matrices, scoring is pretty straightforward and each correct answer earns a point and the total score is compared against a normative data. This means that your performance is measured relative to others who have taken the test. So higher scores indicate a stronger abstract reasoning and problem-solving skills, while lower scores may suggest a difficulties in these areas. Next is scoring block design test. So now let's move on to the block design test. Unlike Raven's matrices, which only focuses on correct answers, the block design test considers both accuracy and speed. So mean, the faster you complete the patterns correctly, the higher your score. So this test is particularly useful for assessing not just problem-solving abilities but also your visual motor coordination, which is essential in many real-life tasks. Okay, next is how are scores interpreted? So, what do these scores actually mean? So, high scores suggest that a person has strong non-verbal reasoning skills and can recognize patterns quickly and is good at solving visual problems. On the other hand, lower scores could indicate possible cognitive deficits, and which could mean difficulties in processing visual information or issues with spatial reasoning. However, it is important to remember that a low score doesn't necessarily mean someone has a disability. So it could be influenced by factors like stress, fatigue, or lack of familiarity with the test. So next is, where are visual reasoning tests used? So, saan siya ginagamit? So you might be wondering, where are these tests actually used? So well, visual reasoning tests are widely applied in psychological assessments, particularly when evaluating cognitive abilities. So they are also useful in diagnosing learning disabilities, as they help identify processing difficulties that may not be obvious in verbal assessments. So additionally, neuropsychologists use this test to assess brain function and cognitive impairments, especially in individuals who have suffered from conditions like stroke or brain injuries. So next is, what are the advantages, no? Advantages of visual reasoning tests. Now let's talk about the benefits. One major advantage of visual reasoning tests is that they don't rely on language. This makes them the ideal for assessing intelligence in people who might struggle with verbal tests, such as non-native speakers or individuals with speech impairments. They are also effective for diverse populations because they focus purely on logical spatial abilities. Plus, these tests provide a quick and reliable measure of intelligence. So this is essential siya as tool in psychological assessment. Next slide is about limitation of visual reasoning tests. Of course, no test is perfect, no? And visual reasoning tests do have their limitation. First, they don't measure verbal intelligence, which means they can fully capture a person's overall cognitive ability. Second, scores can be influenced by external factors like motivation, concentration, or even test anxiety. Lastly, these tests are not suitable for visual impaired individuals since they rely entirely on visual patterns and spatial reasoning. That's all. Our conclusion is, visual reasoning tests play a crucial role in psychology because they provide valuable insight into a person's cognitive strengths and weaknesses in a verbal manner, whether used for assessing intelligence, diagnosing learning difficulties, or evaluating brain function. So these tests help psychologists better understand how individuals process information and solve problems. And that's why they remain a vital part of psychological assessment today. Thank you, and thank you for watching.